ordinance too. I think, Chris, you would ask us to set a date for that. But it's a hearing, so maybe we can roll that into one of our dates that we're coming here anyway.
The chicken/horse ordinance that has been submitted to the planning commission, so I don't think we've had a response yet. We should get it. They have 30 days, so we can do it. That might be a shorter one that we could do before the August 1st meeting. So that one's going to be very controversial.
When is their next meeting?
When is
Not our
see,
planning.
I'm talking about the county planning commission. It's been submitted to both. And their meeting will be with the third week of
I've reviewed it, and I have a number of questions, problems, changes.
Well, you can keep submitting those, but submit all your proposed changes. If they're minor in numbers.
I can keep reviewing it. It's the first time I saw it. I was going to bring it up tonight. And one of the things is, if there's, I can't remember, if there's an allowance for one horse, it should only be for 1 acre. A horse doesn't need more than an acre. It's as simple as that. Likewise for small
Can you hear
animals. Likewise for small animals, a pygmy goat doesn't require half of an acre, but it could do well at 1 acre and limited to 2. I wasn't prepared to do it right now, but in terms of having a dog or a pygmy goat, my dogs would weigh up to 147 pounds. The pygmy goat weighs 40 pounds at the most. A pygmy goat doesn't chase cars, it doesn't bark, it doesn't jump in bed with you at night.
I should hope not.
So I think that the pygmy goats, that should allow 2 per acre.
Are we going to list every animal?
No.
Because that could be a heck of a list.
No, there are many of them listed, and I wanted to put ducks in. He didn't have ducks listed, and that should be included in it.
Also, going from 1 to 2, that might be a significant enough change that we might have to resubmit that to the town.
Going from
1 to 2 in an acre.
2 pygmy goats.
As Bruce said, they have a pretty quick turnaround time, and the Cecil Planning Commission is meeting July 21st, so if I can get some edits and suggested changes, fairly quickly, we can maybe turn
I'll get
it.
in touch with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
If there's somebody here that wants to come up and just give a little presentation based on some of their expertise, if that's probably more valuable than me trying to contribute something to that ordinance. So if you don't
I'd be
mind,
happy to hear it.
And to see the house that they have, I thought it was their house. I really did. Just say,
Bruce, I want you to put a picture up. Give your name for the record, please. And please take the microphone out of there. It works like that.
My name's Anna Esplin, and Fort Cushy. We live at 335 Fawcett Church Road.
yeah.
We do have 2 miniature Nigerian dwarf goats.
Speak louder, please. They can't hear.
Use your mom voice.
My mom. A year or so ago, we weren't aware of the township ordinance of 10 acres, and our boys joined 4-H. And there were other numerous people in 4-H in this township that have animals, so we didn't think that you needed, with the size of these animals, and they're strictly pets. We don't breed them, we don't milk them, we take care of them. We don't give up hair as just pets. So we've been working on this project for a long time. Apparently one of our neighbors called and let you guys know that we have 2 goats. I also have all of my immediate neighbors here in support of us with how we take care of the animals. And I have a copy of our survey, pictures of our property. I know not everybody's animals and properties might not be taken care of like we take care of them, but once you see them, you'll notice that they're very insignificant on our 1 acre piece of property as far as their size. So I have pictures and stuff that I would like to pass around.
we'll do better than that, we'll put them up on.
Oh, awesome. If you, they're all in order, I just, that's what's That's our son with Coco.
Do you have a good picture of the house?
Yeah, they're all coming up. There's about 20 pictures there, just in order. So you can see from front to back of the property, how the property's set up, what 1 acre looks like with these 2 tiny animals in it. That's from their house, from their shelter. Sorry. That's from their shelter, looking towards our house from the back, and our neighbor's house way up there in the corner.
How much do they weigh?
About 30, 40 pounds right now. They're probably full grown at this point, so.
We have a Doberman puppy. He's 4 months old and he weighs 40 pounds.
Yeah.
It's like the,
Yeah, they're tiny. That's Dasher, Coco, and our son Devin.
Looks like they're fighting.
They're just playing. That's the size of them. They're in the little miniature, cart that we pull behind our little lawn tractor. That's how big they are. I just want you to see in comparison to how big they are. They're always in a locked enclosure. You'll see more pictures with the entire enclosure, but it's always padlocked. They've never gotten loose. They don't bother anybody. They're on a little stump right there, and the stump's about 6, 8 inches tall, so you can tell that, they're probably they're up to our knees. It's just some similar pictures. So then these photos coming up are starting from the road, looking back from our house, but you can't even see their enclosure from here. So this is from Fawcett Church, starting back, that's the front of our home.
We were really hoping for some input to our solicitor on writing up that ordinance. This isn't the hearing for that. I thought you could give us some.
Well, I wanted them to see the how far it is.
Okay, but it's not the hearing, we did schedule a hearing for it.
Okay. Good talk. How far back it is from the back of the house.
Do you have a nice picture of their house?
Yes, we can skip all these things.
Can we somehow add into the ordinance size or weight of animals? Because like she said, but then you might limit big dogs. Or can you specifically say,
traditional pets as dogs, cats, and not have applied to them, which I think the current ordinance does.
So basically, that's their enclosure, 6-foot high fence, locked gate again, like I said. And that's the size of what they look like if you were looking at a dog that's curling in front of the door.
So your point is that 2 per acre isn't unreasonable, as Elizabeth
I would
suggested.
say per acre, you probably have 4 or 6 of those on an acre. Somebody could have a half an acre and not have the pool that we have, not have the pool house that we have that's 25 by 30, and we still have plenty of yard space between those and in front of the house. So
Usually we prefer to start out small.
yeah, well, I'm just saying,
Try.
yes, I would think that on our piece of property, we could have 4 or 6, even in that enclosure, if we made it bigger for them, but we could have 4 to 6 goats in there from what we discussed when we did our studies before we got them, talking to other goat owners. So in just our enclosure there, it's almost 500 square feet, and so just the enclosure, and that doesn't even take away anything from the rest of the property.
How old are those goats?
They are a year and a half.
Chris, we'll feed you some information on that. If you think it's significant enough to send it to Washington County again, then just do it. The turnaround is pretty quick, especially on something like that. They're not going to weigh in too much on an ordinance like that. So that's the board members, if you want to get some suggestions to Chris to what might work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to say one thing. The Observer, I don't know if you all read the Observer, but on the inside of page 2, there's always a poll question of the day. Are you familiar with that?
What?
Poll question of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And
Can you hear her?
Yeah,
You can't hear you. It's in your.
Did you hear that?
the May 8th Observer had a poll question of the day, and it was, should people be allowed to keep chickens in their residual backyards? The results as of 10 p.m., I guess it was the night before, I don't really know, 57% said yes, 36% said no, and 7% were undecided. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, Chris, we'll get you to try to fill out that ordinance. So that it's accepted to
Next
the
one.
board.
Chris,
We'll make it work.
this next one. Wednesday, Wednesday.
Hi, Jen Zawilla, 341 Fawcett Church Road.
Could you pick up the microphone, please, and the voice better?
Janet Zawilla, 341 Fawcett Church Road. I understand that these people did their homework on the goats. They surely should have looked at the ordinances also. The ordinance states no horses, no goats, no rabbits, no wildlife, no nothing. And an acre, anything below a 10-acre piece of property. So they should have been well aware of what they were doing before they received these goats. I find it kind of amusing also that this ordinance has been in effect for years and years and years. And nobody in the neighborhood has ever had this stuff until some other people they did not want to play with the old people as remark.
What do you mean?
They seem to think that some people can make their own rules. We have to run by a guarded ordinance, we have to abide by other ordinances in the township, and I think that the ordinances that are in effect should be taken care of to the same thing.
So you were opposed to it?
I am opposed to. I did not buy a 1 acre piece of property to have goats beside me, chickens beside me, or any other kind of wildlife. If I wanted to do that, I would look into a farm. I don't think that they should be allowed in a 1 acre area. You've got the flare plan too. It's just too little land.
Ma'am, if you want to formally get on the record, we are having a hearing, a public hearing, which gets recorded, and all your testimony would be not only recorded, but if there's an appeal to this ordinance, then it will go on to comment, please report to your record. Your testimony would be part of the record. So I'd suggest if you could come to that hearing and make your feelings be known. This is just a business meeting, so there's no recordings here or anything like that for testimony.
Correct, I understand. As this lady said too, she has a lot of neighbors here tonight. I see that it's rather funny that the neighbor in back of them with the adjoining property has not been invited. Thank you.
Anybody can come to a public meeting, and
Didn't
that's
hear
South
that
Van
part.
Township behind us.
Oh, we didn't hear that last part. Can we hear that again?
Yeah, it's South Van Township behind
Okay, let's move
us.
on to new business. I want to